Welcome, everyone. Today, we are talking about one of the most powerful skills a human being can build, the power of not reacting. Because in real life, the person who controls emotions controls the situation. Most people don't lose because they are not intelligent. They lose because they react. They react to insults. They react to criticism. They react to disrespect. They react to jealousy. They react to silence. They react to small things that should not matter. And every time they react, they give away something precious: their peace, their confidence, their power, their image, their energy. Here is why this video is important. Your life is not destroyed by one big mistake. It is destroyed by small reactions repeated every day. One angry message, one emotional reply, one argument you didn't need, one moment where you let someone pull you out of your character. And the worst part is this: many people are not living their own life. They are living in reaction to other people. If someone can trigger you, they can control you. If someone can push your buttons, they can move you like a puppet. So in this video, I will show you the real psychology behind reacting, why people provoke you, and how to become emotionally unshakable. Not cold, not fake, not emotionless, but controlled. Because real strength is not loud. Real strength is calm. And as you listen carefully to this video, you're not only learning emotional control, you're also improving your English listening skills naturally. So if you want to grow stronger in life and more confident in English, make sure you subscribe and stay with this journey. Chapter 1: The Illusion of Control. Most people think they are in control because they are the ones talking. They think they are strong because they are the ones shouting. They think they are powerful because they gave a reply. But that is an illusion. Because the moment you react emotionally, you are not controlling yourself. Someone else is controlling you. Imagine your mind is a steering wheel. If you control the steering wheel, you control where your life goes. But when someone insults you and you explode, what just happened? They grabbed your steering wheel for a moment. And in that moment, they decided your direction. They decided your mood. They decided your energy. They decided your words. They decided your day. This is why reacting is dangerous. Not because reacting is always wrong, but because most reactions are automatic, unconscious, instant. And automatic reactions are usually emotional, messy, and regretful. Imagine two people at work. Both are criticized in a meeting. Person one reacts immediately. They become defensive. Their voice changes. Their face shows anger. They start explaining aggressively. They try to prove themselves. Now everyone in the room doesn't just remember the criticism. They remember the reaction. They remember that this person is easy to shake. Now the second person hears the same criticism, but they stay calm. They don't rush. They don't fight. They don't try to win the moment. They pause. They breathe. They look steady. Then they respond slowly, with control. Thank you. I understand. I'll improve it. Now what happens? The room feels their power, because calmness sends a message. I am not controlled by your words. That is real control. Now listen carefully. When you react, you feel like you are taking control, but you are actually losing control, because the other person successfully pulled an emotional string inside you. They made you move. They made you speak. They made you prove yourself. They made you show your weakness. And here is the deepest truth. The world is full of people who don't want to understand you. They want to trigger you, because triggering you is easier than defeating you. If they can make you angry, they can make you look foolish. If they can make you emotional, they can make you make mistakes. So the first skill is to see the illusion clearly. Reacting is not power. Control is power. Silence, patience, and composure are not weakness. They are the highest level of strength. Because the person who stays calm is the person who stays in control. And the person who stays in control is the person who wins. Not always on the outside, but always on the inside. And if you win on the inside, nobody can defeat you outside. Chapter 2. The Button Pusher Myth. Most people say, he made me angry. She made me insecure. They forced me to react. But that is a myth. Nobody can make you angry. They can only touch something that already exists inside you. Think about this carefully. If someone calls you something that you know is not true, you usually laugh. But if someone says something that hits your insecurity, you explode. Why? Because the problem is not the word. The problem is the wound. For example, imagine two people are called lazy. Person A knows they work hard. They don't feel lazy inside. When they hear the word, they smile. Person B secretly feels guilty about wasting time. When they hear the word lazy, they feel attacked. They react. Same word, different reaction. So who pushed the button? No one. The button was already there. The comment only exposed it. This is why reacting gives away your power. Because your reaction reveals your weaknesses. If someone insults you and you instantly defend yourself, you just told them, "This bothers me," and now they know where to hit next time. But when you stay calm, you give them nothing. You become unreadable. And unreadable people are powerful. Sometimes you react not because someone hurt you, but because your ego felt threatened. Someone ignored you. Someone didn't praise you. Someone corrected you. Someone disagreed with you. And suddenly, you feel emotional. Why? Because your mind says, I need to defend myself. When you are secure, you don't need to defend. When you are confident, you don't need to react. When you are stable, you don't need to prove. The moment you understand this, everything changes. You stop blaming people. You start observing yourself. Instead of saying, they made me angry, you say, what inside me reacted? That question is powerful because it turns pain into growth. And that is emotional mastery. The strongest people are not the ones who silence others. They are the ones who silence their own triggers. And once you remove your internal buttons, nobody can control you. That is freedom. Chapter 3. Reaction versus response. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. Reaction is instant. Response is delayed. Reaction is emotional. Response is intelligent. Most people react. Very few people respond. Here's the difference. Imagine someone criticizes your work. A reaction looks like this. You don't understand. You're wrong. You always criticize. Voice gets louder. Face changes. Energy shifts. Now imagine a response. Pause. Breathe. Listen fully. Then say calmly, thank you for the feedback. I'll think about it. Same situation, different outcome. Which one looks powerful? The calm one. Why? Because response shows control. Reaction shows loss of control. When you react, you operate from emotion. When you respond, you operate from awareness. And awareness gives you options. Imagine you receive a message that feels disrespectful. If you reply instantly while emotional, you might say something harsh. Later, you regret it. Now the situation is worse. But if you wait 30 minutes, If you breathe, if you step away, your brain shifts from emotional mode to logical mode. And suddenly, your response becomes wiser. This is called the power of the pause. The pause is small, but it changes everything. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is your power. Most people lose that space because they react immediately. Strong people protect that space. They don't let anyone rush them emotionally. Now understand something very important. Reacting feels powerful in the moment, but it weakens you long term. Responding feels slower in the moment, but it strengthens you long term. Because when you respond, you train your mind, you train your discipline, you train your character, and character builds respect. Let me say something strong. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The calmest person usually is. Because calmness under pressure is proof of mastery. Anyone can be calm when life is easy. But staying calm when attacked? That is power. And that power is built one pause at a time. So from today, practice this. When you feel triggered, don't react. Pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? That one question can save you from hundreds of regrets. And over time, you will notice something beautiful. You will feel less controlled by others. You will feel less shaken. You will feel steady. And when you feel steady, you feel powerful. Chapter 4. Why people try to provoke you. Let's be honest. Not everyone who talks to you wants peace. Some people want reaction. Some people want drama. Some people want attention. Some people want to feel powerful. And the easiest way to feel powerful is to control someone else's emotions. When someone provokes you, they are testing something. They are testing, can I shake you? Can I control you? Can I make you emotional? Can I make you lose your composure? Because if they can move you emotionally, they feel bigger. For example, a small child who wants attention. If they behave nicely and nobody reacts, what do? They behave badly. Why? Because negative attention is still attention. Now look at adults. It is the same psychology. Some people insult you because they want a reaction. Some people criticize you publicly because they want to look dominant. Some people gossip because they want emotional energy. When you react, you reward them. You give them exactly what they wanted. Your anger, your explanation, your emotional explosion. And now they feel important. But when you don't react, they feel confused. They feel powerless. They feel small because their attempt failed. Someone at work tries to embarrass you in front of others. They make a sarcastic comment. If you react emotionally, defend yourself loudly, or get angry, the focus shifts to your reaction. People remember the emotion more than the comment. But if you stay calm, smile slightly, and continue normally, now the spotlight shifts to them. They look insecure. They look petty. They look small. Your calmness exposes their insecurity. This is why strong people don't react, because they understand something powerful. Provocation is a test. An emotional reaction is failure. But silence is dominance. Sometimes people provoke you because your success makes them uncomfortable. Sometimes people criticize you because your confidence reminds them of their weakness. Sometimes people try to pull you down because they feel left behind. Your reaction feeds their insecurity. Your calmness makes them face themselves. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, don't see it as an attack. See it as a test. And tests are opportunities. Opportunities to prove to yourself that you are no longer easily shaken. Because the person who cannot be provoked cannot be controlled. and the person who cannot be controlled cannot be defeated. Chapter 5. The Secondary Emotion Revelation. Now we are going to something deeper, something most people never understand. Anger is not the real emotion. Anger is usually a mask. Under anger, there is something else. Fear, hurt, shame, embarrassment, insecurity, rejection. Anger is loud, but the real emotion underneath is quiet. Example: someone ignores you. You feel angry. You say, "How dare they ignore me?" But if you go deeper, what is really happening? Maybe you feel unimportant. Maybe you feel rejected. Maybe you feel invisible. Anger protects that feeling. Anger is like armor, but the real wound is underneath. When you understand the real emotion underneath, your reaction changes. Instead of exploding, you become curious. Instead of attacking, you observe. You ask yourself, what did this touch inside me? That question is powerful because it shifts you from victim to master. If someone's words create a strong reaction, it is not always about them. It is often about something inside you that needs healing. And once you heal it, their words lose power. So instead of trying to silence everyone around you, deepen yourself. Build inner stability. Understand your wounds. Heal your insecurities. And slowly, things that once triggered you will not even move you. This is the real power of not reacting. Not suppression, not pretending, but understanding. Because when you understand yourself deeply, nothing surprises you. And when nothing surprises you, nothing shakes you. And when nothing shakes you, you become emotionally unbreakable. Chapter 6. The Trigger Map Method. Most people say, "I don't know why I reacted like that." But that is not true. You reacted for a reason. You just haven't studied it. Every strong emotional reaction has a pattern, and patterns can be mapped. This is what I call the trigger map method. It is simple. Instead of blaming the situation, you study your reaction. Because when you study something, you gain control over it. When you ignore it, it controls you. Here is how it works. Every time you feel a strong emotional reaction, anger, embarrassment, frustration, insecurity, don't just move on. Ask yourself 3 questions. What happened? What did I feel? Why did it hit me so strongly? That third question changes everything, because most triggers are not about the present moment. They are about old stories inside you. Imagine a person who becomes extremely angry whenever someone interrupts them during a conversation. It seems small. It seems normal. But every time someone cuts them off, they feel intense frustration. They speak louder. They become defensive. Their mood shifts immediately. Now, instead of saying, "People are disrespectful," they use the trigger map method. They sit quietly later and reflect. What happened? Someone interrupted me. What did I feel? Angry, disrespected. Why did it hit me so strongly? And then something deeper appears. Growing up, this person was often ignored. Their opinions were dismissed. They were not heard. So interruption does not feel small. It feels like history repeating itself. Now the reaction makes sense. The present moment was not the real trigger. The past was. And here is the powerful part. Once this person understands this pattern, interruption loses some of its power. The next time it happens, instead of exploding, they think, "This is not my childhood. This is just someone speaking." That awareness creates space, and space reduces reaction. This method does not remove emotion. It gives you understanding. And understanding weakens emotional intensity. Let me say something important. You cannot fix what you refuse to examine. If you keep saying, "That's just how I am," you stay stuck. But when you say, "Let me understand why I react this way," you grow. Self-awareness is not weakness. It is strength. Because the person who understands their triggers cannot be easily controlled. When you know your emotional red zones, you stop walking blindly into them. And even when you enter them, you are prepared. The trigger map method turns reaction into reflection, and reflection turns weakness into wisdom. The more you understand yourself, the less the world shakes you. Chapter 7. The Timeout Protocol. Now that you understand your triggers, you need a weapon for the moment itself. Because awareness is powerful, but in real life, emotion rises fast, very fast. The timeout protocol is your emergency brake. It is the skill of pausing before reacting. It sounds simple, but it changes everything. When someone says something that triggers you, your body reacts instantly. Your heart beats faster. Your muscles tighten. Your voice wants to respond. That is your emotional brain. It is fast. It wants to defend. It wants to protect. But your logical brain is slower. It needs time. If you react immediately, emotion drives. If you pause, intelligence drives. The timeout protocol gives your logical brain time to wake up. Here is the process. First, notice the surge. Second, do not respond immediately. Third, create physical space if possible. That space might be 10 seconds. It might be 10 minutes. It might be one night. Imagine someone receives a harsh message from a colleague. The message feels rude. It feels disrespectful. It feels unfair. Immediately, anger rises. They start typing a sharp reply. Their fingers move fast. Their emotions are high. But they remember the timeout protocol. Instead of sending the message, they stop. They close the app. They step away. They take a walk for 20 minutes. When they come back and read the message again, something has changed. The anger is lower. The words look less aggressive. They realize they misunderstood part of the message. Now their reply is calm, professional, short, clear. The situation ends peacefully. If they had reacted immediately, the conflict would have escalated. Relationships would have suffered. Reputation might have been damaged. But because they paused, everything stayed stable. That is power. Let me say something clearly. Most regrets in life come from fast reactions. Very few regrets come from delayed responses. You may regret shouting. You may regret sending that message. You may regret that heated argument. But you rarely regret staying calm. The timeout protocol protects your future self. It protects your relationships. It protects your reputation. It protects your peace. And over time, something incredible happens. The pause becomes natural. You don't feel urgency to defend. You don't feel pressure to prove. You become steady. And steady people are powerful. Because when others rush, you slow down. When others explode, you breathe. When others react, you observe. And that difference builds respect. The timeout protocol is not weakness. It is discipline in action. It is saying, my emotions do not control my decisions. And when your decisions are not controlled by emotion, your life becomes stable. And stability is strength. Chapter 8. Silence is power. Most people are afraid of silence. When someone attacks them, they rush to reply. When someone criticizes them, they rush to defend. When someone misunderstands them, they rush to explain. But silence is not weakness. Silence is control. Silence is choosing not to give your emotional energy away. When you react immediately, You give someone access to your emotional state. When you stay silent, you protect it. Reaction is noise. Silence is presence. And presence is powerful. When you stay calm and silent in a tense situation, something interesting happens. The other person starts feeling uncomfortable. Why? Because they expected resistance. They expected emotion. They expected drama. But they received nothing. And nothing is powerful. Imagine a meeting where someone publicly criticizes your idea. They say, "This doesn't make sense, this won't work." The room becomes tense. All eyes turn to you. You feel the heat rising. Your ego wants to defend. Your emotions want to reply fast. But instead, you take a slow breath. You look at them calmly. You say nothing for a few seconds. Then you respond slowly. "Thank you for the feedback. Let's explore that." That's it. No defense, no argument, no emotional tone. Now something shifts in the room. The person who criticized you suddenly looks less powerful. Because you did not give them a fight. Your silence showed stability. Your calm tone showed confidence. And everyone watching feels it. They may not say it, but they feel. This person is composed. This person is not easily shaken. That builds respect. When you react emotionally, people remember your emotion. When you stay calm, people remember your control. Silence forces others to confront their own behavior. If someone is aggressive and you stay calm, their aggression becomes obvious. If someone is insecure and you stay steady, their insecurity becomes visible. Silence exposes, reaction distracts. Silence also protects your reputation. Words spoken in emotion can damage years of credibility. One angry sentence, one emotional outburst, one moment of losing control. But silence keeps your image strong. It says, "I am not moved by small things." And people are drawn to stability. In a world where everyone reacts instantly, the person who stays silent becomes rare. And rare becomes powerful. Silence is not about ignoring everything. It is about choosing when to speak. It is about understanding that not every comment deserves your response. It is about knowing your value does not decrease because someone disagrees. Silence is emotional maturity. It is discipline over impulse. And the more you practice it, the more unshakable you become. Chapter 9. The Ego Trap. Now we go to the root of most reactions. Ego. Ego is the voice inside that says, "I must win. I must be right. I cannot look weak. I must defend myself." Ego reacts quickly, because ego feels threatened easily. The need to prove yourself is weakness. The ability to stay calm is strength. Ego makes small things feel personal. Someone disagrees with you. Ego says it's disrespect. Someone corrects you. Ego says it's humiliation. Someone ignores you. Ego says it's rejection. Ego turns normal situations into emotional battles. And emotional battles drain energy. Example: a professional athlete during training. The coach criticizes their performance. The coach says, "You need to improve. This is not good enough." Now the athlete has two choices. Choice 1. Ego reacts. They feel offended. They argue. They defend. They say, "You don't understand." Their focus shifts from growth to protecting pride. Choice 2. Ego stays silent. They listen. They absorb. They accept correction. They improve. Over time, who becomes better? The one who didn't react. Because ego protects comfort. Discipline builds strength. The moment you stop defending your ego, you start improving yourself. When someone criticizes you, ask, "Is this an attack? Or is this information?" If it's information, use it. If it's noise, ignore it. But don't let ego control your reaction. Ego wants immediate emotional satisfaction. Growth requires long-term discipline. The stronger your ego, the easier you are to manipulate. If someone knows you cannot handle criticism, they can control you. If someone knows you must always win, they can bait you. But if someone knows you are calm and unbothered, they lose control. Because you don't need to prove anything. You know who you are. And when you know who you are, outside opinions lose power. Ego screams, confidence whispers, ego argues, wisdom listens, ego reacts, strength observes. The moment you separate your identity from other people's words, you become free. Free from emotional traps, free from constant defense, free from needing validation, and freedom is power. Chapter 10. Strategic non-reaction. Not reacting is not always emotional control. Sometimes it is strategy. Sometimes the smartest move is not to move. Most people react because they feel they must respond immediately. But strong people understand something powerful. Not every situation deserves your participation. Some arguments are traps. Some conflicts are bait. Some people provoke you not because they want truth, but because they want attention, dominance, or drama. When you react, you step into their game. When you don't react, you step out of it. And the moment you step out, you win. Example. Think about a computer system connected to the internet. Every second, it receives thousands of signals. Some signals are useful, some are dangerous, some are useless noise. Now imagine if the system reacted to every single signal. It would crash, it would slow down, it would overload, it would stop functioning properly. But instead, there is something called a firewall. The firewall does not react emotionally. It does not panic. It quietly checks every signal and asks, is this important? Is this safe? Is this worth responding to? If the signal is harmful, the firewall blocks it. No reaction, no drama, no noise. It simply ignores what does not deserve attention. That is strategic non-reaction. In life, not every comment, criticism, or opinion deserves your response. If you react to everything, you exhaust your mental system. But if you filter wisely, like a firewall, you stay stable, focused, and powerful. Strategic non-reaction is not weakness. It is intelligent filtering. Just like a strong system survives because it does not respond to every signal, a strong mind survives because it does not react to every trigger. Silence, in this case, is protection. If you waste focus fighting small battles, you will not have enough strength for big goals. Strategic non-reaction is saying, my future is more important than this moment. It is long-term thinking. It is discipline over ego. It is choosing growth over temporary emotional satisfaction. Winning an argument does not always mean winning life. Sometimes the real win is walking away with dignity. The person who controls their reactions controls their direction, and direction determines destiny. Strategic non-reaction is not weakness. It is intelligence. It is emotional maturity. It is quiet dominance. And when people realize they cannot provoke you, they stop trying. Because you are no longer easy to move. Chapter 11. The strongest person in the room. Who is the strongest person in the room? It is not the loudest. It is not the most aggressive. It is not the most dramatic. The strongest person in the room is the most emotionally stable. Because stability creates trust, and trust creates influence. When chaos appears, everyone looks for calm. When tension rises, everyone looks for control. The person who remains steady becomes the center. Imagine a team facing a sudden crisis at work. A serious problem appears. Deadlines are tight. Everyone feels pressure. Some people panic. Voices rise. Blame starts. Emotions take over. But one person stays calm. They breathe slowly. They speak clearly. They say, let's solve this step by step. They don't shout. They don't blame. They don't react emotionally. Something shifts. The room starts calming down. Because calmness spreads, the team begins to focus instead of panic. The crisis gets handled. Afterward, people remember one thing: who stayed stable, not who shouted, not who blamed, not who reacted. They remember who was steady. That person becomes trusted. That person becomes respected. That person becomes influential. Emotional stability is silent leadership. When you react less, you command more. When you stay grounded, people feel safe around you. And safety creates respect. Here is something important. Anyone can be calm when everything is easy. But being calm when things go wrong, that is rare. And rare qualities create authority. The strongest person in the room is not trying to prove strength. They are not competing emotionally. They are not fighting for attention. They are centered. They are grounded. They are controlled. And control builds power. If someone can disturb your inner state easily, you are not strong yet. Strength is not physical. Strength is emotional discipline. It is the ability to remain yourself under pressure. The ability to keep your voice steady when others raise theirs. The ability to keep your mind clear when others panic. The ability to keep your dignity when others lose theirs. That is strength. And the beautiful part is this: you don't need to announce it. People feel it. Calm energy changes rooms. Stable presence changes environments. And when you become emotionally stable, you don't chase respect. Respect follows you. Because the world is full of reactions. But it is starving for stability. Become that stability. Become that calm center. And you will always be the strongest person in the room. Chapter 12. Emotional Energy Protection. Your reactions are not just emotional, they are energetic. Every time you react, you spend energy. Every argument, every explanation, every defense, every time you replay a conversation in your mind at night, you are spending energy. And energy is your life force. Without energy, you cannot focus. Without energy, you cannot grow. Without energy, you cannot build anything meaningful. Most people are not tired from work. They are tired from unnecessary emotional reactions. Imagine a professional who is building something important, a business, a career, a dream. Every day, small criticisms come, small comments, small disagreements, small negativity. Instead of ignoring them, this person reacts to each one. They argue, they explain, they defend, they overthink. By the end of the day, they feel drained, not because they worked hard, but because they fought emotional battles all day. Now imagine another person in the same situation. They see the criticism. They evaluate quickly. If it is useful, they apply it. If it is noise, they let it go. They don't carry it home. They don't replay it in their head. They don't waste emotional fuel. At the end of the day, they still have energy. Energy to improve. Energy to focus. Energy to create. Years later, the difference becomes huge. The first person burned energy fighting noise. The second person invested energy building results. This is emotional energy protection. It is saying, my peace is more valuable than this moment. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everything deserves emotional space in your mind. If you react to everything, you will be controlled by everything. If you protect your energy, you protect your future. Because your energy determines your consistency, and consistency builds success. The world is full of distractions, arguments, drama, opinions, provocations. But disciplined people choose carefully where to invest emotional energy. Let me say something clearly. Peace is not weakness. Peace is power. Because peace allows clarity, and clarity allows strong decisions. Emotional energy protection is self-respect. It is deciding that your inner state is not available for random people to disturb. When you stop reacting to small things, you gain strength for big things. Big goals, big dreams, big growth. Protect your emotional battery. Because when your battery is full, you are powerful. When it is drained, even small problems feel heavy. And a calm, energized person is unstoppable. Listen carefully. Life will not stop testing you. People will still talk. They will still judge. They will still criticize. They will still misunderstand you. They will still try to provoke you. The world will not become quieter, but you can become stronger. You cannot control every word spoken about you. You cannot control every situation. You cannot control every opinion. But you can control your reaction. And that changes everything. Because the moment you stop reacting emotionally, you stop being controlled emotionally. From today, don't aim to win every argument. Aim to win your inner state. Don't aim to silence everyone around you. Aim to silence the storm inside you. When someone tries to pull you down, stay steady. When someone tries to insult you, stay grounded. When someone tries to provoke you, stay composed. Not because you are weak, but because you are disciplined. Remember this: anyone can shout, anyone can react, anyone can explode, but not everyone can stay calm under pressure. That is rare, and rare is powerful. There will be moments when your ego wants to speak. There will be moments when your pride wants to fight. There will be moments when your emotions want to take over. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If it is not, let it go. You don't have to attend every fight you are invited to. You don't have to respond to every noise. You don't have to prove yourself to everyone. Your power is not in your reaction. Your power is in your control. And when you master your reactions, you master your life. So from today, choose composure over chaos. Choose silence over ego. Choose strength over impulse. Choose growth over drama. Become the person who cannot be shaken. Not because life is easy, but because you are strong. And remember this one line: when you control your reactions, you control your destiny. Stay calm, stay steady, stay powerful, and react to nothing unless it deserves your wisdom. That is real strength.